Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about getting my COVID vaccine, how I got it, how I, sort of the process of getting it, and then the side effects that I have currently had since having the vaccine. So I had my vaccine, I think it was about 5 days ago now, and it was my first dose of I'm trying to think what it was called. I'll put the name on screen as to what the actual name of the vaccine is called, like the proper spelling and everything, because I know there's two different vaccines, so I'll put the name. What happened was I got a call from my doctor, I think it was about 2 or 3 days before the appointment for the vaccine, and they just said, "Oh, you're at the top of the list, would you like to come in for the vaccine?" So I got the call from my doctors, or my GP surgery, because I'm from the UK, so we have a GP surgery which we can go for any minor illnesses that don't need immediate attention. I got a call from them and they said to me, "Oh, would you like to come in for your COVID vaccine? We'd like to invite you in." And at first I was quite shocked as to the fact that I was being offered it. And then later on, I found out that the GPs or the doctor surgeries within the UK have I don't know how to explain it, but there's two different lists. There's the government list, and then there's the doctor surgery list. So if your doctor surgery has some vaccines and you get to the top of your doctor surgery's list, then you'll get the vaccine via your doctor surgery compared to the government's age thing. So in the UK, I think at the moment it's 65 years and over. So if you are age 65 or over, you are classed as sort of vulnerable and that you can get the vaccine via the government. With me, that wasn't the case. Obviously, I'm not 65. So I got a call from my doctors and they offered the vaccine to me. So when I arrived at my doctor's surgery, there was several wardens, steward people that were outside. So I didn't actually go through the main reception of my doctor's surgery initially. So the first steward welcomed me in, said hello, kind of greeted me, and also said to me, here's a list, the sheets, I'm trying to think what they're called, the information leaflets you get within medication boxes that most people, if you're on regular medication, you get one each time anyway, but I just generally throw them away because I have so many of them. Obviously I keep one, and replace it every now and again, but generally I don't keep every single one because they are the same. So she gave me all these leaflets, I've still got it, so I can put a picture of it if you like. I don't know, but pretty much it's just an information leaflet which links, just states side effects and things you could experience. So if you do start experiencing any of these side effects, then you can be reassured that they do know about those side effects and that people might experience them. So I went round the side of my doctor's surgery, which is there was a path that was almost coned off or something, and you went round the back. I then met up with a second warden steward person who was at a desk, and she had a computer with obviously connected to the Wi-Fi or something, and was checking everyone in. So I gave her my name and she checked me in, and then there was 3 different tents. So there was 3 different coloured tents, and she would tell me to go to one of the tents. And I think the 3 tents was because they were calling everybody in threes. So she would just fill up the lines, sort of, you'd go to say the blue, the red and the green. And that wasn't the colours, but blue, red and green. And then you would, there'd be 3 people in each line, and then when one person was taken, she'd put one person in each line. And I suppose it was to control the flow of people and to get people through quicker. I don't know. So they had these tents, and I suppose they weren't tents, they were more like canopies, where they have poles holding them up, and then literally the only bit that was the coloured bit was the roof of it. So you would line up in these lines, walk through the tent, and when you were under the tent, you were the next person to be called. So when I went in, I was initially sat in a waiting room with chairs all lined up and then partitions in between all these chairs. So if I was sitting here, there'd be a partition here and a a massive like 6 foot screen or something, and then another chair the other side, and then a screen, a chair, a screen, a chair, sort of thing. And I think there was 6 or 7 of these chairs where you would sort of be called in next. You would then sort of be greeted, and this was almost like a waiting area, I suppose. So after being in this waiting area for a little while, a nurse then came through and was calling each person in turn. She was then memorising where the last person was taken from, and then she was calling the next chair, sort of, and working along the line, and then going back to the beginning and working along the line. So it wasn't actually long. I think the time between checking in and then actually getting my vaccine was probably only about 20 minutes, half an hour. There wasn't actually a huge wait. And as I said, I can't vouch for whether the government ones are any different, but this, my doctor's surgery one was definitely only about 20 minutes, half an hour from actually checking in. So after being in that waiting room, I was then taken through to the actual nurse's room. She asked me some basic questions like my date of birth, my address, and she asked me all these different things, like just identifiable to confirm I was who I said I was. She then, the actual vaccine that I had came in like a little vial, and it's not that big. It's probably about that big, maybe. It reminds me, and if any one of you has ever done nursing, you'll know that glucose and sort of the things that diabetics get, insulin even, insulin comes in these little vials. You take out how much you need and then you inject it. I'm not diabetic, but I have friends who are diabetic, and they have like these little vials that keep in the fridge sort of thing, and that's it, like, you know, but you don't need the whole vial for each dose. So this is the same as the vaccine. Like she drew up, I think it was about probably even like 2 mil or something. It was barely anything in this little needle. She said, which arm would you like it in? And initially I said my right arm, but then she said, you're going to get some numbness in your arm. Not numbness, but like, you might get some pain, some numbness, some swelling in your arm. So you're going to want to choose an arm that's not your dominant arm and that you don't necessarily need to use as much. So because I'm right-handed, I then said, oh, okay, then I'll go for my left arm. So I had it done in my left arm, and thank God I did, because yeah, the side effects, I had quite a few side effects, which I'll get onto in a bit. So I had my injection. She cleaned the area. She injected the thing, and I didn't even realise she'd actually done the injection. Like, I felt her cold hands like touch my skin, and that was it. Like, there was no, I felt her wipe it, and that was it, but I didn't actually feel the injection itself, if that makes sense. After the injection was done, she gave me a little card that said the batch number of the vaccination and the date I'd had it, and it was like initialed by her to say that she'd given it. It also has a space for the second injection, but because I haven't had the second injection, obviously it hasn't been filled in. So that card I need to bring with me to my next injection, which is at the end of May, and then they will fill the batch code in on that one, and we'll sign it and date it and stuff to say I've had both injections. I also got a sticker that had a little mini sticker, probably about a couple of centimetres. It was about this big. I might actually better find it, and I'll put it in like over here. I'll put a picture of it over there, but pretty much it was a little circle sticker that said I've had my COVID vaccine, and they gave it to me, and I stuck it sort of on my shirt. I've now taken it off. I then got home, and I mean, I had a little bit of pain in my arm about maybe an hour afterwards. So this is where I'm going to get on to some symptoms that I had following the vaccine. So I've got a little bruise on my arm, and that's normal for any vaccine or any injection. Sometimes you'll get a little bruise, and it's not massive. It's probably the size of between a 5p and a 10p, if you know what sort of sizes the English currency is. So that's, you know, the little bruise I was left with. But I've had a lot of pain, like a bruisey type pain, kind of going all the way from my shoulder all the way to kind of halfway towards my elbow. And this has been like, it slowly is getting better, but it was quite painful on the actual day and for about 2 or 3 days afterwards, to the point where when I'm asleep, when I go to bed at night, I toss and turn quite a bit, and I wasn't able to lay any pressure at all on this arm. And I kind of expected that, but not to the extent of how it was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a list of all the different symptoms I've had, some of which may be related to the COVID vaccine, but others might have other reasons or other like things why I've had these, these symptoms. So I remember getting the arm pain around the site, but also sort of in that top half of my upper arm. I had that sort of the pain, like almost like a bruisey type pain. So it wasn't bad, it was just more like I've been injected with something, and yeah. I also had a bit of a headache that evening. Whether that was related to COVID or not, I don't know. I don't know whether that's related to the vaccination or not, but luckily it was only that evening. I took some paracetamol and yeah, it resolved itself. The next morning, I was a bit kind of drowsy and a bit tired for the first evening and the day after. So I got my injection on a Saturday, and then I was quite tired for the Sunday and spent the majority of the day in bed. Was trying to keep my fluids up because I really didn't want to make the sort of the fuzzy headachy feeling in my head get worse or anything. So I was continuing to take paracetamol. I did get a bit feverish, and not necessarily feverish to a point where you're shaking, you're sweating, you're, all these bits and pieces. It was literally a bit of a fever. I could feel that I was a bit warm, but there wasn't a fever as such. I mean, I took my temperature before I had the COVID vaccine and it was 36.9, which is about average for me. 36.8 to 37 is about where I normally sit for a in-ear temperature test. After the vaccine, I think it went up to about 37.7 or 37.8, which obviously is technically a temperature, but they said you could have a temperature for the first 48 hours after having the COVID vaccine, and literally it doesn't mean anything. It just means your body's fighting off this infection. If it lasts for longer than 48 hours, so longer than the 2 days after your vaccination, then you need to seek medical advice and potentially have a COVID test. She did say to me that before I got the injection, she said that some people obviously with coronavirus don't show symptoms. They are almost like passive carriers. So if you're a passive carrier and you go and have the vaccination, you can then go on to develop a full-blown version of coronavirus. And that's literally because you've got the infection in your system. They're giving you a vaccination not knowing you've got the infection in your system. And then it's almost like boosting the pre-existing infection. But there's no way to tell if you've got this, this infection before without testing everybody. And I don't know. I didn't get tested before I went into the doctor's. All I had to do was wear a mask. So I'm just telling you what actually happened. So after I had my vaccine, she gave me the card and the sticker, and she said to bring the card to the next time. What I'm going to do with that card is, because I can imagine needing that card for probably quite a few months, if not a year plus to come, travel, any bits and pieces like that. So what I'm going to do is, once I've had the second vaccine, I am going to probably get some sticky back plastic or get it laminated and laminate the card so it will stay nicer, because all it is a bit of card. It's like when you get a temporary pass or something. It's not actually a proper card like a credit card. It's just a bit of cardboard that they've written on. Obviously it's got all the bits and pieces on it. I might get the card and show you, but obviously I'll block out any information, but I'll show you what I mean by the card and what it is. So, as I said, I'm going to have to put the sticker up there, and I'll put a picture of the card blocking out all my information and stuff. But that is kind of what happened. And then I had to walk out almost in the same flow of traffic. So I went in the back way of my doctor's, and then I came out the front. So it was like a complete circle, which obviously is in line with the government guidance of having one-way systems. Even at work, I have one-way systems. So I came out of the doctor's, I then got on with my day. There wasn't really much that happened. Once I'd had the injection, as I said, I had the headache, I had the fever, I had a bit of a runny nose, but it wasn't like infection runny nose. You know when you blow your nose and if it's green, they say it's an infection. Green or yellow, it's an infection. And if it's clear, it could just be pollen. It could be a bit of hay fever, which I kind of think I might have a bit of hay fever. I've had hay fever for a few years and it might just be hay fever. Like, I don't know what the pollen count is, but it might be just a bit of hay fever. So after the Sunday, so the Saturday, this is a bit illogical, I'm really sorry, but Saturday I had my injection. Sunday I was pretty much in bed the whole day. Monday was the first day I started to feel a bit better. So that was definitely good to kind of get out of bed, to take my rubbish out, to get things sorted and get on with the rest of my week pretty much. The only symptoms I now have, so I am Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it is Wednesday when I'm filming this, so it's I think it's about 4 days, maybe 5, because I had it in the morning on the Saturday, so about 5 days since having the injection. The only things I've got really left is a bit of a soreness in my arm, and my shoulder is a little bit sort of sore and a little bit stiff. Like I can move it and I can roll it, but there's a little bit of stiffness when doing so. So I think that's it for today's video. I'm going to post this up pretty quick, I think. It'll be useful to a lot of people to kind of have a what to expect when getting the COVID vaccine, because yeah, I went in there pretty much not knowing a lot about what I was going to expect, because being so young, I didn't think I was going to get the COVID vaccine for months. Like, I didn't think I was going to get it until about May, June time, and that would be my first dose. But I'm actually really happy that I've got it now, because at the end of May I'll get my second dose and hopefully I'll be fully vaccinated by June, and then if the borders are open I can then hopefully plan a holiday and obviously vlog and take you guys with me, so that'll be amazing to come. Alright, so thank you for watching and I will see you in my next video.